Hello YouTube, this is Tammy Pie and I'm back with another video. This is going to be hashtag Top Tarot Trumps, which was created by Masha over at Musings by Masha. And we're going to look at the Judgment card. This is one of the most biblical trumps in the deck. I mean, I'm always telling people that the traditional tarots, particularly the Marseille and even the RWS, are loaded with Christian iconography. Angels, the Garden of Eden in the Lover's card. Yeah, so this is one which is very often changed in modern tarot decks. I have several variations of tarot here. I'm going to start with Deviant Moon because my Deviant Moon, as it turns out, is the most traditional. Oh, I'm sorry, not Deviant Moon. Sorry, Trionfe della Luna. And this is just the regular old coloration in Italian. And so here we have a kind of angel demon calling out having the dead rise. So this is, the story is from Revelation, right? It's after the apocalypse. Gabriel comes, blows his horn, and the righteous will rise and the baddies will go down. So, yeah. What does this mean in a tarot reading? Well, when there's like musical instruments, to me, it can mean musical. It can mean calling out. It can mean hearing a calling. But if you think about it, what it means is, have you been good or have you been bad? And if you've been good, you'll be rewarded. And if you've been bad, you'll be punished, which is very, Christian duality. Because what is good and what is bad? And, if you listen to the priest or the preacher, to be good is to go to church and to give some of your money to the church. And to be bad is to be out drinking and carousing and, heaven forbid, reading cards, practicing divination. Oh my. Yes, so, and then a recent acquisition, this is the Tarot of the Drowning World, Dr. Falke's Tarot of the Drowning World, which is by the same people who brought us Carnival at the End of the World, the Kahn and Selznick. So, really, really interesting deck. It is very large cards. Trionfe della Luna is about, I don't know, 2/3 the size. So, and this is their typical linen cardstock. It's kind of like Usi, kind of like the first version of Playful Heart. And here we have floating in what looks like maybe a metal coffin, I guess kind of angelic looking guy with a lot of times in those old works of art from the Renaissance, people were naked. So they came back later and painted these cloths over them because at some point the church was like, hey, we can't be looking at people's parts, right? And your trumpet. I actually like the trumpet because I have gotten a reading in the past where it was most definitely a guy needed to get back to his musical roots and maybe follow that. Okay, what are we going to do next? All right, here's one that is kind of traditional but kind of different. We had a look at the Curious Traveler's Tarot by Arrowseer. The Curious Traveler's Tarot deck, yeah, Arrowseer. And here, this beautiful watercolor rendering, you have the all-seeing eye. So that replaces the angel, but we do have guys rising from the dead, right? So where will you go from there? This actually has kind of the look of a doorway. Very interesting. Will you fall in the hole? Will you just go back into the grave? This is kind of an open-ended card. I rather like it. Okay, and here's one that was kind of unexpected. This is from the Legend of Sleepy Hollow Tarot by Nick Lawyer. And it was unexpected to me because this is drawn in the style of Pixie's art. However, it is very much in keeping with that time period, a witch trial where people were tied up to pyres and burnt at the stake because of the judgment of others, right? There's everybody in the background watching. There's the priest asking them to, tell us you're a witch and repent so that you can not go to hell. It's interesting how people were so much more afraid of going to hell that they would do something so horrible as burn a living person at the stake. Probably someone who helped them in the past, someone who helped birth their children or whatever. Okay, let's look at one more and then we'll look at the Thoth one. I just recently reacquired this. This is the Sasorabito Tarot. The nickname is Sassy Burrito. And this is by Stasia Burrington. She's a Seattle-based artist. And I love this. I love this judgment card. This is her absolutely done, right? Needing comfort, stuck under the comforter of her bed and standing up and thinking, what am I going to do next? Where do I go from here? There's even like in the back here in the wall, there's like this kind of smoky looking maybe apparition. Maybe it's a ghost. Maybe it's her conscience. Maybe it's a thought cloud. Where do I go from here is kind of the attitude of this card. So I love that for judgment. I've always really liked this deck and the different way that she looks at things. All right, had to be here. Here's Thoth, and this is the Aeon, right? And what we have here, here's Newt, the sky goddess, and this is the rebirth, the coming of Horus, after Isis goes and finds all the pieces of her son, puts them back together, a new day is coming. And you can bet things are going to change. This is such a kind of telling card for right now in America, how politics is going, because it's such a weird time. We have put in power this like really horrible bunch of people. I mean, they're really awful, but politics has always been a little gruesome, a little weird here in America. So we'll see. And it's a red wave too. He's got the whole thing. He's got the Senate and the House of Representatives. So he can basically do what he wants. And the first thing he's going to do is free all those people that said he won the last election, which he didn't. But he actually did win this one. he actually got more votes in this one. So you asked for it, you got it. And that's kind of what the Aeon is about, right? So I'm going to segue. I'm not going to get all deep with that card because honestly, I don't have the brain's time for it. Today is Thanksgiving in America. Yeah. This is from the Mythologica Fennica. And this is the original printing. I have mine in English. I didn't realize that not everyone's original printing is in English. Some of the books were done in Finnish. So this is a great one for judgment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read some of this. It's only 11 minutes. So if you don't want to hear this, then thank you for coming and yada yada. But okay, the Feast of Paiola. The great wedding feast had been arranged for Smith Ilmarin and the maid of Pohjola. Everyone had been invited except for Lemminkainen, who was a well-known troublemaker. Lemminkainen heard of the feast nonetheless and decided to attend even without invitation. His mother warned him not to go and reminded her son how he had already been fished from the river of Tuonela once, but Lemminkainen didn't care for his mother's warnings. Once he'd arrived at Pohjola, Lemminkainen sat on the master's seat and demanded ale and food for himself. The mistress and master of Pohjola didn't take kindly to this insolent and unwanted guest, and they gave him a soup that was seething with snakes. Lemminkainen picked the serpents from the ale and with a hook and threw them on the floor and beheaded them with his knife. The master of Pohjola had had enough and challenged Lemminkainen to a duel with spells. Lemminkainen proved to be better. And the master challenged him again, this time to a sword fight. Lemminkainen was victorious again, and after striking the master's head off, he impaled it to one of the hundreds of spears that circled the yard and already scores of heads adorning them. Louhi rallied her troops, but Lemminkainen changed into the form of an eagle and fled home. There, his mother advised him again to flee to an island behind the 9 seas. Lemminkainen took his father's boat and sailed to an island where his father had also lain low in his own time and stayed there for 3 years. During this time, he charmed all 1,000 wives and 100 widows of the island, but seeing as every single one of the island's men were preparing to murder him, Lemminkainen had to flee again. It's like, get the hint. You may be winning these battles, but you are not winning the war. Back home, he was greeted by ruin and destruction, for the soldiers of Pohjola had destroyed everything when looking for him. Lemminkainen already thought his mother to have suffered the same fate, but then he found her hiding in the forest where she had fled. Lemminkainen promised her that he would rebuild the house and make up for all that was lost, but in his heart he wasn't able to let go and was already planning a raid to Pohjola as a vengeance for his home's destruction. Lemminkainen's fiery soul drove him from one trouble to another, and many an innocent suffered for this. The master of Pohjola lost his head, and Lemminkainen's mother was made to face the soldiers' wraths that her son had incurred. Lemminkainen expected his mother to rescue him again and again, and never taking responsibility for anything or caring for the suffering of others as long as everything was fine with him. His mother, on the other hand, protected her son's life and suffered the consequences, and by doing so, unwittingly encouraged her son to always undertake a new raid for the next cause. Feast of Paiola calls for good judgment and taste, which Lemminkainen did not possess. But the good judgment doesn't mean that criticizing the deeds of and lives of others. When you cease to criticize, your own understanding grows. Try to see people and situations without prejudices and accept things as they are. The card urges you to abandon your old narrow perspective and see things from a broader one. Don't fall into a black and white way of thinking. Try to take the perspectives of others better into account. Beware the rash emotional reactions. Learn to respect others even if you don't agree with them. If you make mistakes, learn from them. Act according to your own calling. The card may also symbolize shrinking from responsibility and the baseless judgment of others. The card urges you to take responsibility for yourself and your actions, and also to think of the consequences of your actions beforehand. Try to steer your life towards a constructive direction. OMG. And that is that, my friends. And thank you for coming.